Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. It's our Black Friday sale. Recharge this season with a bundle of cozy, soothing comfort. Now only $17.99 for our C2 mattress and base, plus free premium delivery. Prices higher in Alaska and Hawaii. Check it out at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com today.
Are you scouring the web for the best Black Friday and Cyber Monday deals? Stop it. Get Rakuten. Rakuten is a shopping sidekick that gets you cash back on gifts for everyone on your list. Right now, you can get up to 15% cash back at the stores you love. You can even stack cash back on top of the biggest sales of the year. That's savings on savings. It's more time shopping and less time searching. With Rakuten, you're always saving at your favorite stores on the things you're already buying. Cashback is automatically added to your account as you shop, and you get paid with gift cards, PayPal, or check. Or eligible American Express card members can even choose to earn membership reward points instead of cashback. It's truly a no-brainer. Now's the time to join. Up to 15% cashback ends on 12/2. Plus, new members will receive a welcome bonus after minimum qualifying purchases. Just go to Rakuten.com, download the app, or install the browser extension. That's RAKUTEN. Terms and conditions apply.
AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's ride!
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, presented by Relief Windows. We're here live from Marucci's Hitter's House. Buse and Paulie are back in studio. Alondra hanging out with us on site. We got 1 hour to go if you're knocking off of work. Come stop by Marucci's Hitter's House. Do some shopping. Great apparel. They got everything, man. Gloves, bats, hats, cleats, everything. Great spot. And remember also, check out the hottest new bats, Marucci's Reckless and the Novalit from Victus. You can take them in the cage, and you will see the difference there from the official bat of Major League Baseball, Baton Rouge's own Marucci. We're proud to be here at Marucci's Hitter's House today. Obviously, we've moved into another week of Kiffin Watch. So it was a quiet weekend. Ole Miss didn't play. And after Friday's meeting among Lane Kiffin, their athletic director, their Keith Carter, and Ole Miss Chancellor Dr. Glenn Boyce, after which they released a statement saying that they'll make an announcement about Lane Kiffin's future after the Egg Bowl. It was a relatively quiet weekend. Lane Kiffin had his Monday media availability, and Dr. Glenn Boyce, the Ole Miss Chancellor, was a guest today on Super Talk Mississippi. Those are our good friends over at Super Talk Mississippi, where we catch up with every year at SEC Football Media Days. And Dr. Boyce was asked about that Friday meeting with Lane Kiffin. Here's what he said.
As far as Coach Kiffin goes, once again, we put the statement out, and the statement pretty much speaks for itself. And so talks will continue. They will continue through the week between Coach Kiffin and Keith. But our focus and our emphasis right now, and we're determined to be focused on this, is winning this last football game, being an 11-1 team, and being the first team in the history of the University of Mississippi to make the college football playoffs. And if we're not seated higher than we currently are, to have one of the greatest sporting events to ever come to Mississippi, and that would be a home playoff game.
So they are continuing to tell you the story without telling you the story. By the way, Lane Kiffin, he was asked, as you would imagine, about that Friday meeting.
Lane, Keith released a statement on Friday saying that you, him, and Chancellor Boyce had a meeting about your future. Are you able to elaborate on the nature of that meeting at all?
Yeah, like I said at the beginning, very fair question, but we're not answering anything that doesn't have to do with the game and the team and the season. But fair question.
I appreciate Lane being polite and saying it's a fair question, which of course it is. I mean, the head football coach, the chancellor, the athletic director all had a meeting. They released a statement saying they'll have an announcement about the future of the head coach here after the Egg Bowl, before a college football playoff appearance. It is, by definition, a weird set of circumstances. And everybody knows what's happening. They just won't talk about the thing that everybody sees happening. And that ultimately tells you the answer. And Dr. Boyce, in his comments, is telling you what their priority is. Their priority is they understand Lane Kiffin has a wandering eye, is being courted by LSU in Florida, and is going to leave Ole Miss. But they need to win the Egg Bowl. Because if they win the Egg Bowl, they feel like that will lock up their college football playoff position at 11-1. And would secure them a home playoff game, which, as you heard Dr. Boyce say, would be the greatest sporting event in the history of the state of Mississippi. That's something Lane Kiffin was also asked about today, that there's a feeling this would be, there's no pro sports in Mississippi. They've never hosted a national championship in Mississippi, so a college football playoff game would be arguably the greatest sporting event in the history of that state. And last week there were all these reports that came out with these economic impact studies. It would be a $70 to $80 million economic impact just that one day, having that playoff game. So that's their focus, and they think having Lane Kiffin on the sideline for that game gives them the best chance to win the game, which is why they're allowing to play the charade forward when we all know Lane Kiffin clearly is not committed to Ole Miss, because if he were, he would have signed a contract extension, which he hasn't done. And his wife has visited Gainesville and Baton Rouge, and there's reports of the contract offer and all the things that we see out there that are out there right now. And today you have Ole Miss players tweeting how committed they are and focused on winning this game. They're all trying to say the right thing to get to and through Friday with what they hope will be a win to secure their playoff spot. And then from there, everyone will go their separate ways, as we all anticipate it will be. But that didn't stop the questions from coming, where Lane Kiffin was asked a handful of times. Like, here's one about when he was asked about the decisions about his future.
You mentioned on Pat McAfee how you don't make decisions based on money. When you do make your decisions, what are the considerations for you then, especially when it comes to football decisions, right? Like, what are you thinking about?
Yeah, very fair question, but I'm not going into it because, like I said at the beginning, I'm going to keep this to this team and in this game.
Now, he also talked about finishing out the season and how important that is to him.
If that plays out and you guys are able to go on a run, how important is it to you to finish out the season with this team?
Very important. I've never thought of anything different than that.
By the way, that's something we've said. He wants to have his cake and eat it too. He wants to be able to coach this team through the playoff. It's my understanding, by the way, that LSU has made it clear through their conversations with either Jimmy Sexton, Lane, whomever speaking, that they would be willing to wait for Lane Kiffin through the college football playoff. That's something Verge Osbury said on the record on this show 2 weeks ago on that Tuesday after Verge was introduced as the full-time athletic director. So, yes, I believe LSU would be willing to wait, and Kiffin wants to coach his team through the playoff, and I firmly hold the belief that what he would like to see happen is coach his team and then leave at the end of the season. But it also is very clear that Ole Miss is not going to allow him to coach this team in the playoffs if he is not committing to them. They are not going to let him coach Ole Miss while working for another team. And you're going to have that announcement about whatever that other team is, LSU, Florida, on, according to Keith Carter's statement, on Saturday. Play number 5. He was asked another way if he's made his decision.
Lane, just because of the ambiguity, I was just curious, when Keith says expects a decision on Saturday, is that a decision that's been made, or is that still in consideration? Like, people are just curious about that.
Yeah, so, I mean, you can just keep going. I'm not going to answer them, so that's 3 of them.
And there were more. He was asked, if he would. They tried. Look, I mean, they tried jabs. They tried uppercuts. They tried, roundhouse kicks. I mean, they tried to attack him every way you could. This was play number 6, Buse, if you would.
People said the same thing about the Florida game. That there was all this distraction and how could the team focus. And I think they played pretty well. So I don't have anything more to say about that. But I think our team's been very focused since noise has been out there all the way back to the Oklahoma game and the tunnel before that and that morning and everything. What are they, 4-0? So it's a pretty good job by them.
The one thing Lane Kiffin did answer was, and he gave a very thoughtful answer, actually, about his past. And if his past influences the decisions he's making now. And I thought this was very introspective with the way that Lane handled this question. And I also believe it's very telling. This I believe, and I'll play the clip, and it runs 56 seconds. Like, he gives a long, thoughtful answer to this. But I think this is very introspective, and it does provide you a roadmap for what he's thinking. Hit it.
How much, if at all, have you kind of reflected on your past and leaving or staying different places? And has that helped you kind of wade through this process this time around?
No, I mean, I don't know about all that. I've kind of, over the years of the changes that I've made, I've had a lot of time to reflect on things that have happened. And I really feel like in age, I've figured out they all happened exactly how they were supposed to happen, when they were supposed to happen. I just didn't think it at the time. I thought they were disasters. And they're just all part of my story. And I spoke at my dad's funeral when he passed. And I always wondered why we moved so much, because I was hard on us as kids and everything. And I realized that was just all part of his story, and all the people that came to the funeral or wrote notes from all the different places. I realized that was God's plan for him, to impact all those people and have all those relationships. And so I think all the stuff that happened how it was supposed to happen.
Think about the decision Lane Kiffin's about to make. And we've talked a lot about Layla Kiffin being from Gainesville, or where Knox may play high school football, and all these other ancillary things, his reputation in Oxford if he leaves, all that sort of stuff. And then listen to what he just said. Do you think there's anything that matters more emotionally to Lane Kiffin than speaking at his dad's funeral? Like, do you think he's talking about a man who is his mentor, his hero, his dad, and speaking at his funeral and saying, I always wondered as a kid why we moved so much. It's just part of his story. And he went to all these different places, and he was able to impact all these people. He talks about the people at a funeral and who wrote notes. He was able to impact so many people during his life, talking about his dad, Monty Kiffin. So when we talk, he's giving you the roadmap to say, for all the conversations people have had about what matters, that ain't what matters to Lane Kiffin in these situations. For all the conversations about are you going to take Knox out of school, or Layla's dad playing at Florida? Like, none of that matters. And that is something that I will tell you, for me, who does not know Lane Kiffin. He's been on the show. I've interviewed him at media days and different things, but I don't know him. Like, we've never sat down and had a meal or a private conversation, whatever. But this, in following this story and talking to so many people who do know him personally and have covered him and all different types of things, from administrators and politicians and other coaches and media people and everything, they all say the same thing, that Lane Kiffin is going to make a decision not based on any other criteria than where he can go to win football games. Like, that's it. And so the fact that he's gotten to this point, if there's this assumption he may make some emotional decision and tug on the heartstrings and stay in Oxford because he doesn't want to let down the Ole Miss, but I don't think that's weighing in it at all. I mean, this man is telling you that at his dad's funeral, he was thinking about why they moved so much, and how hard it was on the family. And he's basically dismissing and saying that was just God's plan. That was the way it was supposed to be. Like, he is telling you he is leaving Oxford, Mississippi. If you couldn't know that by his actions already, not signing that contract extension, he's leaving. It's just a matter of, is he leaving for Baton Rouge or for Gainesville, or does someone else jump in the mix? It's very likely the last time we're going to hear Lane Kiffin speak before the Egg Bowl. Dr. Boyce, the Ole Miss chancellor, back to that interview on Super Talk Mississippi. He lauded the Ole Miss assistant coach and said this about the players on the team ahead of the Egg Bowl.
I want to talk about the season that these players have given us and what a special team this is. This is a team that knows how to finish. This is a team that knows that they make plays when plays need to be made. They understand that. And this is a team that is incredibly mature and well-led. They stay focused. And I stay in contact with, because, I'm a big athletic fan, obviously, and as chancellor of the university, it matters to me how these guys are thinking, what they're thinking about. And these are the young people who are providing all this joy and happiness we find out around here. And so in turn, the players, it's up to us to make sure that they have a consistent routine. It's up to us that they have consistency in everything they touch and feel so that they stay focused. So everybody needs to really work hard this week to put a complete focus on this game and what it means, even though obviously for us the playoffs are in play and for them a bowl game's in play.
You could give a very easy downplayed answer. That's a minute from the university chancellor talking about how they need everybody to rally around the players to lift them up this week. They all understand how horribly awkward this situation is, and it's something that could very well implode in their face. In a rivalry game on the road with a lame duck coach that everybody knows is leaving, with everything on the line, can they actually get up and go play a consistent, competent football game to win on Friday morning? It's as bizarre a situation as I can recall. Maybe this is something that leads to changes in the athletic calendar to marry it more closely to the academic calendar, which is something Nick Saban mentioned on College Game Day. But ultimately, it's just a terribly awkward situation without a really good answer that anyone associated with Ole Miss wants to give. So we'll continue to watch and very likely get an answer on Saturday or sometime after the Egg Bowl. All right, it's After Further Review. We'll knock out a quick break. Stick around on AFR.
AFR.
GLO, glowresources.com, glowresources.com. They're complete employer solutions. Check them out online at glowresources.com. Hey, remember, as we move into 2026, if your business is trying to find a way to be the most efficient it can be, you got to have the right people. And there's nobody better to help you find the right people than Glow Resources. Check them out online. Start there. GLO, glowresources.com, glowresources.com. This is not a temp staffing agency. They're looking for permanent solutions. So maybe you got that position in your business that's been hard to fill. You've had a lot of turnover. You've struggled to find the right person for that job. Let Glow Resources help. They'll cast their net far and wide. They conduct roughly 15,000 interviews over the course of a year. So they are experts at asking the right questions to be able to find the right person for your job to make you the most efficient. It's Glow Resources. Check them out online at GLO. glowresources.com. Complete employer solutions.
After Further Review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and we do shutters too.
Rolling along here from Marucci's Hitter's House on Segan. We're glad to have you hanging out with us here. Make sure you come by. Marucci, Victus, Baum, Lizard Skins, The Stable, all here right off of Segan. We're here for another 40 minutes or so, but make plans to be here at Marucci's Hitter's House this week. They got the batting cages in the back. They got memberships available as well, where you get your own private access to private batting cages, private bullpen as well. There's 24-hour access. If your son or daughter plays baseball or softball, you have got to find out about Marucci's Hitter's House. If you've never been here before, shop, save, swing into the holidays. The warehouse sale is coming up Friday, November 28th through December the 14th. So make sure you get in here for amazing deals. 40% off, even more. So check it out at Marucci's Hitter's House here on Segan. One real quick note. The update from... I'm looking, I was trying to see if we had it up at sports.net yet. Kellen Moore met with reporters earlier today. The one big one was Alvin Kamara. I know it was a sprained MCL, as was reported earlier. Here was Kellen Moore when he met with reporters about Kamara.
Yeah, ankle injury. We'll have to see how that progresses. Probably get more detail tomorrow as we kind of go through this process. But obviously an ankle injury that he's going to have to deal with, and we'll see if he's a possibility this week or not.
Interesting that that it was Kellen Moore said ankle. There had been a lot of scuttle out there about a sprained MCL, but apparently you heard Kellen Moore there say ankle. So nothing. Then I'm scrolling to see if anybody else had it. Here it was. It was Nick Underhill who reported Kamara has an MCL sprain, according to a source. He avoided major injury, but see how it progresses. So Nick Underhill reported on Sunday evening MCL sprain. Kellen Moore on Monday said ankle. So a little bit of a discrepancy there. We know, look, Nick is as credible as they come. So you can't lie on an injury report. So when the official injury report for this week comes out Wednesday, we'll know more. So we'll continue to follow it. And remember, you can always email us, tweet us, or text us, 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. Lots of ways you can get involved in the show. I'll run through some of the questions that you all have asked. Hunter said, if Jacob Hester and Matt Flynn are good with Eli Drinkwitz as a coach, I'm on board. Okay, that's fine. And everyone's entitled to an opinion. I look around, and I think Eli Drinkwitz certainly has done a good job at Missouri in elevating that program. I also think that it would be far more palatable if Eli Drinkwitz wasn't going to cost you $10 or $11 million. Right? Drink's making $9 million a year at Missouri. So ask yourself the question. You fired Brian Kelly. You owe him a $54 million buyout. I know there's a lawsuit to be determined what happens there in that number. Are you really going to hire Eli Drinkwitz, who's 1-9 against the top 10, 6-16 against ranked opponents, who's, in my opinion, got an artificially inflated record at Missouri because of how they schedule, which fine, good for you. That's what James Franklin did at Vanderbilt. You're a bottom half of the SEC team as far as resources, et cetera, schedule accordingly. And that's what they've done. They've basically, baked in 4 wins because of how they schedule non-conference. And you can lose to the ranked opponents in conference, beat the lesser opponents on your schedule, go 5-3 in the league. You're 9-3. You win a game against a team with a bunch of opt-outs and you win 10 games. Voila. Do you actually think that's impressive? That would not fly here. You just fired Brian Kelly. He had 2 10-win seasons here. Nobody's celebrating those 2 10-win seasons here. So that's where I struggle. It's not necessarily that I think he couldn't succeed here. It's also what it would cost to get him here. Is that a cost-effective approach? For example, I've brought up John Summerall a bunch. John Summerall's making $3 million a year at Tulane. Could you hire John Summerall at $5-6 million a year, roughly half of what it would cost you to hire Eli Drinkwitz, get a 43-year-old who's been a head coach at 2 different places, who's been wildly successful at both stops, who played in the SEC, has coached in the SEC, has great energy, understands, loves the state of Louisiana, has thrived in the portal era, all that stuff. That for me is he hasn't been a head coach in the SEC, but that for me is a more cost-effective, appropriate risk. Any hire is a risk. You just hired the winningest active coach in college football, and it didn't work out. So there's risk with every hire. So it's just, how do you calculate your risk tolerance? And I think I would prefer Summerall over Drinkwitz. That's the difference that I think that a lot of people are having right now, is coming to grips with that fact. It's just a different era. Thomas said, Matt, what's the announcement timeline? Keith Carter, the athletic director, told you the announcement timeline. Ole Miss is going to play the Egg Bowl on Friday, and then they're going to make an announcement about Lane Kiffin's future on Saturday. If all goes according to that announcement timeline, they'll play the game on Friday. And on Saturday, Ole Miss will announce likely that Lane Kiffin is not going to coach the team in the college football playoff. He's going to move on, take another job, and they'll promote Joe Judge as the interim head coach. And then a short time after that, provided LSU's the choice, LSU will announce Lane Kiffin is their hire. And I would assume a week from today, Monday, that Lane Kiffin would be in Baton Rouge if he's picking LSU. Now, I think here on Monday, just same that I did on Friday, that Lane Kiffin is going to be LSU's head coach. That's my feeling today. And there's nothing that happened this weekend that would move me off of that. Every bit of information from any source associated with LSU or Ole Miss or nationally, they all kind of feel the same way. The only people who think that Florida's in play is Florida. And maybe they are. But I believe it would be a major upset at this point if Florida gets back into the mix for Lane Kiffin. Now, he's got options, and he could certainly make a decision and change his mind. And it's a long way to go until Saturday, which is the point that I've tried to continue to say. And I understand in my position, I have to give opinions, and I'm not gonna hem and haw and not give you an opinion. And I try to give you as detailed and educated and resourceful an opinion as I can. And I think Lane Kiffin's going to be LSU's head coach. I also think over the next 5 days, a lot can change. And I hate to keep giving you the same example over and over again. Maybe I'll pick some other ones. Like when Mark Stoops was going to be the Texas A&M coach and the fans revolted and then they pivoted and hired Mike Elko. Or when Greg Schiano was going to be hired by Tennessee and there was a revolt and ultimately they went a different direction. I mean, I've given you the example of Tom Herman and Ed Ogeron. I mean, Tom Herman, it was on the scroll on ESPN that Tom Herman was going to be the coach at LSU, and 36 hours later, Ed Ogeron standing at a podium. So over 5 days without anything binding signed, a lot can happen and change. And the key for LSU here is to continue, the powers that be, is to continue to make sure that they stress to Lane Kiffin and his representation that they're committed to Lane Kiffin. He's their top choice. They have the best deal on the table. They're not going to be beat on price, whatever it is, whatever he needs. He's their number one choice. They're committed to it. They'll wait for him and get him here. And LSU, I think, has done a good job of getting all of their ducks in a row from everything they would need to. Having Layla Kiffin fly here last week and showing her around Baton Rouge and making them feel comfortable with the city, and Knox as far as where he would be playing high school football and everything that they'd have to have in line. The presentation they made on NIL for Kiffin and what that would look like. The NIL on top of the revenue share, which has been reported to be $25 million. So you'd be talking about roughly a $40 million roster. I mean, all of that stuff is very much important for what's going to drive Lane Kiffin's decision, how he's going to be able to win in Baton Rouge. I think LSU's done an awesome job with that. They've just got to get it to the finish line this weekend. So we'll see if they can hang on. All right, it is After Further Review. Glad to have you hanging out with us here from Marucci's Hitter's House. Our Monday shows are brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Maybe what I'll do here, we're supposed to get to our college football takeaways. Maybe instead of that, what I'll do is I'll go a little deeper into the contract, because Ross Dellinger did report on Friday night about the offered contract from LSU to Lane Kiffin. I'll dive a little deeper into that when we come back. We are brought to you by Supper Club. They're closed here on Monday. Supper Club's closed every Sunday, Monday. They'll be reopened on Tuesday. And man, I love hearing so many of the stories from you who maybe had never been to Supper Club or maybe went once and hadn't gone back, and you're just experiencing it for the first time or re-experiencing it now. How many incredible stories about experiences that you've had. Listen, the holidays are here. Maybe you're going to have family in town. There's no better place to go celebrate the holidays or any day than Supper Club, right there on Perkins Road near Bluebonnet in Baton Rouge. And, I think one of the things we worked really hard to do is to dispel certain misconceptions. People think, oh, well, you have to be a member to get in. Not true. Or you have to wear a sport coat to get in. Not true. Collared shirt, slacks is perfectly fine. Or it's so expensive I can't afford it. Not true. You could have dinner at Supper Club for the same you'd pay at any other fine dining restaurant, but you're going to have the best meal and the best dining experience anywhere. If you've not been to Supper Club, I implore you, book your reservation. Go to supperclubbtr.com, supperclubbtr.com. Pick a weekend, pick a night, pick a holiday, pick your anniversary, a birthday, whatever you have coming up. Just pick a day to make it a Supper Club night and go experience the best dining experience in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, or darn near anywhere. supperclubbtr.com. All right, y'all, it's AFR. Let me knock out a break. Jimmy will be here in 15 minutes for Otter Locks. We'll have a pick on Monday Night Football. We'll get to that. By the way, Your boy was in fuego yesterday. I'm not talking about Jimmy. I'm talking about me. I missed football Sunday. So they got us the picks late, so I just had to make my bets. How about your boy going 7-0-1 yesterday in NFL action? Now, I stink usually, but when you have one night like that, it's like, or a day like that, it's pretty incredible. But I pushed on Pittsburgh, on the Steelers, but it was 7-0-1 yesterday. I don't have a strong feeling about Monday Night Football, so I'll see what the otter says. But I'm fired up after we got fired up about a weekend like that. All right, let me knock out a break, y'all. Come back. I'll dive into some of the money with the Kiffin contract that Ross Dellinger reported on Friday night. We'll do that next here on AFR.
AFR.
Speaking of money for Kiffin's contract, my guess is Gordon McKernan might be writing a check for a smidge of that. Anyway, get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. If you've been injured in an accident, it's not your fault. Do what injured people in our state have done for 3 decades. Get Gordon and get it done. Go to getgordon.com, getgordon.com. Hey, remember, on top of the great NIL work he does, on top of representing injured people all over the state of Louisiana, Gordon and his team, maybe the thing that I'm most proud about every day when I get to talk about Gordon is not of course, the law firm. They do incredible work for people who have been injured and need representation. But I love talking about Gordon McKernan, the person, because he's a good, ethical man, husband, father, citizen, and he loves to give back to the communities. The Get Gordon bicycle giveaway is going on right now. They'll announce the 600 bike winners on December the 11th. You can register at getgordon.com. Get Gordon and get it done.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and we do shutters too.
All right, Jimmy, you'll be here in about 10 minutes for Auto Locks. Get a pick on Monday Night Football. We are here from Marucci's Hitter's House. Remember, you can always take a campus tour here. You can step inside the heart of baseball at the Marucci campus tour. You got family coming in for the holidays. Tell them to come over here. You can explore the wood shop, the paint booths, the finishing rooms where the official bats of Major League Baseball are made. You can experience this museum-style exhibits, the interactive displays. You can see available tours and book your tickets now at maruccisports.com/campus-tour. maruccisports.com/campus-tour. On Friday, Ross Dellinger reported 7 years, approximately $90 million that LSU is offering Lane Kiffin. Now, one of the things that I've been pretty clear about is neither LSU or Ole Miss or Florida are going to lose Lane Kiffin because of money. This isn't going to be a thing where one school bids or offers 11 and stops, and then another goes to 13 a year, and that's not. They're all comparable. The money's going to make sense. There's a couple of things that I think matter here. The structure is important. I've explained this before. And by the way, I do have a full episode. I recorded an episode of Locked on LSU over the weekend. And great, if you're not subscribed, great time to subscribe. Favorite podcast app or on YouTube, just search Locked on LSU. I have a 30-minute episode going into great detail about this if this interests you, about the contract. But as I understand it, there's a couple things that are notable. One is that there are escalators with incentives in Lane Kiffin's, the contract offer LSU made. And I've explained it before, but a lot of this is like a pro structure where you have likely to be earned and not likely to be earned bonuses. So, for example, like Joe Burrow being on the Bengals roster might trigger a roster bonus. That would be likely to be earned. Joe Burrow winning the NFL MVP would be a not likely to be earned bonus, where if it triggers a boom, escalator. And again, I don't know what Joe Burrow's contract looks like. I'm just saying, for example. So maybe something like you get to a bowl game, boom, bonus, or 9 wins. If you win the national championship or win the SEC championship, bigger escalator, so to speak. So that's one thing. Also, as I understand it, the buyout structure is appropriately on a sliding scale according to results. So if Lane Kiffin keeps winning, the buyout stays high. If you start losing with certain thresholds, the buyout would drop significantly. So that's one of the things that you could also say, okay, you don't mind paying a coach a lot of money if they're winning. What you want to avoid is paying a coach a lot of money for losing. And so the structure of this contract matters a lot, which is why I think it's so important how they built this committee to find the coach, right? Because you have Scott Ballard and John Carmouche and E.J. Kuiper and Ben Bordelon and these are people that run massive businesses that do $1 million deals every single day, so they know how to structure these types of things that make it, both fair and enticing for both sides. So I think it's very smart how they've done that. Now, the other thing that I think is probably the most important part of this whole conversation is the NIL. Now, remember, NIL as pay for play is no longer allowed. You can't just fund a collective and write checks to players. One of the things that LSU has done exceptionally well, which is why I think a major reason why I think LSU has a lead in this race for Lane Kiffin. Remember back in March, we had Clay Harris on AFR, who's the chief revenue officer at LSU, and he explained the NILSU Max program that LSU got into with Playfly Sports. If you don't remember this, it's fine. Again, I have a full detailed episode of Locked on LSU live right now if you want to go check it out, where I played some of the sound bites from the interview with Clay. But just understand, LSU this interview was in March. Clay told us in March, for 12 to 18 months prior, LSU was working on this. For the rev share era, how do they generate true NIL deals for their student athletes? A big part of that is the deal they did with Playfly Sports for NILSU Max, where Playfly, who has these business relationships with hundreds of businesses all over the country, potentially even all over the world, that they are already selling for LSU sports properties, could do the same for their student athletes. Effectively, they've worked hard so that they can guarantee a threshold of true NIL on top of rev share, which is dramatically different than saying to Lane Kiffin, we're going to give you $40 million for your roster. Okay, that's great. You have someone that wants to write a $200,000 check so I can go sign a lineman. How do you get that through the clearinghouse? Well, LSU has done a really good job of being proactive to be able to get those deals through the clearinghouse, because they were very proactive on the front end with how they've gone through these brand deals with Playfly, NILSU Max, and being proactive about how they structure those deals, how they get them approved, what's appropriate, how they have deliverables, all that sort of stuff. And it has given LSU a big lead in that space. Everybody can spend the rev share dollars, right? Everybody has $20.5 million, of which 75% is going to go to football for everybody. The differentiator is, how do you get the money on top of the rev share? And LSU has been at the forefront of that. And for an athletic department that was very much behind for the first 2-3 years of NIL, and they were. And in that interview with Clay Harris, he acknowledged it. Something I said for a couple of years that LSU fans, a lot of administrators, didn't like me saying publicly, but it was true. They were not fundraising for the collective. They were not being proactive and aggressive in the NIL era as pay for play. And they learned their lesson and got very proactive for this era, the rev share era. And that has given LSU a big step forward for how they're going to be able to proceed in the coming years. And that's something where I think for Lane Kiffin, his fear about staying at Ole Miss is everything is going to revert to the way it was, where you have the powers that be, the blue bloods that are going to take over the sport again. When Texas Tech can't just stroke checks and buy a roster, SMU, Ole Miss, it's going to go back to the way it was, is their fear. And so you look at who has a great brand. Well, Texas Tech doesn't have a great brand. LSU does. Livy Dunn, Paul Skeens, Joe Burrow. I mean, if you look at Angel Reese, Flaugier, Mondo Duplantis. I mean, like the most recognizable track athlete in the world, Sha'Carri Richardson. I mean, think of like LSU's. Netflix did a full doc. Wasn't it Netflix? It was an Amazon that did the full documentary about LSU and their brand. Like, yes, LSU's a very strong brand. So national companies will want to do brand deals with LSU athletes because the brand is so strong. I'm not an LSU guy, but this, for God's sake, they did a documentary about it. So, yes, LSU has been very much on the forefront, Jaden Daniels, of all of this. And it's why they have a major advantage right now over Florida and over Ole Miss for Lane Kiffin. Yeah. See if they can get across the finish line by this weekend. Okay, it's after further review. Monday shows are brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Windows, door, siding. Oh, yeah, they do shutters too. Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Final break. We'll come back, wrap it up from Marucci's Hitter's House. Jimmy will be here for Otterlock. Stick around.
AFR.
It's not too late, y'all. If you're thinking about what you're going to do for Christmas, you want to do something special, it's not too late to call Duplessis Builders and put in a pool. Yep. You want to channel your inner Clark Griswold? If there's enough left over, fly everyone down to Dedicated. All right, maybe you don't have to do that part. But if you want to put in a pool, you can do it affordably, and Duplessis Builders can help. Now remember, Duplessis Builders, voted by Pool and Spa Magazine a top 50 pool builder in America. Incredible honor for Derek Duplessis and his great staff. They can build you the big, beautiful custom pool outdoor kitchen. But they also have 11 different pool models that are already made. You can go online right now. Just pick your finishes and features, and boom, you can even pay for it online right now if you want. They have financing available, so check it out at DuplessisBuilders.net.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and oh, we do shutters too.
Down the stretch we come, final segment here on a Monday edition of AFR, presented by Relief Windows. And we are live from Marucci's Hitter's House. Been an awesome show. We appreciate you for hanging out with us here. We got one thing left to do. Let's find out what we're betting on tonight. Time for Otterlocks.
Otterlocks.
All right, time to win some money.
Presented by Total Maintenance AC Repair. Same-day service means you will never sleep hot. 480-1000. We are Total Maintenance.
I think it's safe to say that I won the bet.
Otter, how are you?
Good, Matt. How about you?
Freaking phenomenal. I got to tell you this. So I missed football Sunday yesterday. And so I just made my own bets without any help. Your boy went 7-0-1 yesterday.
That's outstanding.
I will never bet again because that'll never happen again in the history of my life. But I was flabbergasted. I pushed on the Steelers, but I won everything else. It was crazy, man. So I am done. I'm cashing out. I'm not making any more bets. I'll bet. I'm just not on my own. I just need your help for whatever we're going to do because there's no way I ever hit a streak like that ever again.
That's a good approach. A lot of comebacks. A lot of comebacks. A lot of backdoors. A lot of just kind of all over the place. Like the first hour of results, you might have been 0-7-1, and then it started trending in your way.
Yeah,
so really,
like Kansas City, I had the Chiefs. Like I felt like I was a wrong side winner on that one.
You had a good number on the Chiefs. You had Chiefs money line, I guess. So.
No, I had. Wait. Hang on. No, wait, hang on. Wait, no, wait, hang on. No.
From 3.5 to 4.5.
No, here's what I won. I won Rams. I had under in Browns Raiders, under in Cowboys Eagles, which was also lucky. Pushed the Steelers. I won with the Jets, won with the Titans, won with the Giants. I took over in Jags Cardinals. Oh, and then you know what? I heard Andy Isco's picks. And so I lost with the Vikings and the Chiefs. Those were Andy's picks yesterday. I did hear those on the way to church.
But
my picks were 7-0-1.
So he said to buy the Chiefs at 3, and it fell 3.
Yeah.
I mean, they're inside the 10-yard line when they were down 3, and they could have won by 4. But it was that kind of day, you know.
Yeah.
The Steelers were up and they were down, and just all over the place. Tennessee came from nowhere to backdoor cover that one. So, yeah.
Anyway, it was a good day. What are we looking at tonight?
Yeah, a little momentum with Carolina. Their home and away split, especially Bryce Young, not quite the same. But the big thing which I noticed last week is after Mac Jones filled in relief for the San Francisco 49ers. He really played well. And Brock Purdy, it looked like he lit a fire under him. He came back and was exceptional last week. So Carolina's defense is certainly subpar. Randy McKay's got them as well. So we're going to lay the points at home here and try and cool off this little Cinderella story with the Carolina Panthers to play.
Okay, looking at it's actually at 7 right now. So I see on the website it was at 7.5. You can get it at 7 right now.
It was. Yeah, gladly.
Yeah.
Also, one game in college basketball tonight. You got quadruple headers on True TV and TNT all day, all night in Las Vegas at the MGM property, Mandalay Bay, and also the MGM Garden Arena. So we're going to go to one of those games. Bruce Pearl is in the building at the MGM Grand Arena, but we're going against his old team, the Auburn Tigers. We're going to take the Oregon. Oregon and Dana Altman plus the point against Auburn. So it's up to 3.5 right now. If you do have a spot where you can buy it to 4, do that.
Okay, 3 and a hook right now. You can buy it to 4 if you get to a site where you can. All right, so Niners laying the touchdown and the Ducks in the points tonight on the hardwood. Where are you tomorrow, Otter?
We're at Doe's Eat Place on Government Street in Mid-City.
Get you a steak and an old-fashioned over at Doe's. All right, man, good luck. We'll look forward to it. See you tomorrow.
All right, Matt. Good luck.
Thanks. That's Jimmy Ott. It's After Further Review. We're brought to you by Parish Restoration, parishrestoration.com. Kill mold, remove odor, parishrestoration.com. Parishrestoration.com is the website to go to get your inspection. It's free to get that inspection. They'll come see if you have mold or think you might. They'll knock it out. Remember, they'll spray their patented non-toxic dry fog. They'll let it dwell. It'll kill everything down to the spores. As soon as the fog dissipates, you're back in clean, sanitized, clean smelling. Maybe it's this time of year with flu, other harmful pathogens at your office building. You need to sanitize the whole thing. They can help at Parish Restoration. Go to parishrestoration.com. All right, y'all, it is After Further Review. We're getting on down the road. Muse, Paulie back in studio. Thanks so much. Alondra on site. Great job. As always, we appreciate our friends at Marucci Hitter's House here for hosting us today. Warehouse sale starts on Black Friday going through December 14th. Make sure you get here to take advantage of all the great deals. We'll see you tomorrow back in studio at 3.
After Further Review.
As we get on down the road, remind you about First South Farm Credit, firstsouthland.com, firstsouthland.com. If you're thinking of buying land, your first call should be to First South Farm Credit. So go to firstsouthland.com. Hey, look, it doesn't matter if you're looking for if you're in agriculture, you already know about First South Farm Credit because they've helped farmers for since 1916, more than 100 years. You need that 1,000 acres for agriculture. They can help you at First South Farm Credit. But maybe as you move toward 2026, you're thinking about a lifestyle change. Maybe you work in the city, but you want that rural lifestyle. First South Farm Credit can help you do that. If it's the 20 acres in St. Francisville, 100 acres on the North Shore, where you work in the city and then live in that rural lifestyle, First South Farm Credit can help. You got to start by logging on to firstsouthland.com. Your first call should be to First South Farm Credit.